Scribbler here yet again for another January 6th edition of the OBX Wave Report. In this special edition, we're going to do another special not-for-profit focus where I highlight not-for-profits that I believe are very beneficial, and I'm going to talk about them. And then at the end, we're going to give a small donation. So what I want to do though, before I talk about this new not-for-profit that we are going to highlight, I also want to talk about our past not-for-profit focuses, which included the Sierra Club and 350.org, which are both, in my opinion, organizations that are definitely going to help us defend our coastlines from the impacts of climate change, and that also are pro-democracy. Both of these organizations are pro-democracy. For this organization today, I want to focus in on the good work of the Southern Poverty Law Center. I first learned about the Southern Poverty Law Center when I worked at Jane's Information Group and managed a product called Jane's World Insurgency and Terrorism. And at the time, as today, most organizations that track global terrorism consider right-wing extremist white supremacist groups in the United States to be terrorist organizations. The United States government does not yet recognize these groups as terrorist organizations due to a number of complexities involving managing law enforcement and rights in the US regarding US citizenry. But on January 6th, we did see the dark fruits of white white supremacy and right-wing extremism rear its ugly head in its attack on the Capitol and the attempt to overthrow US democracy in the United States. Many of these groups that attacked the Capitol were fueled by hate and disinformation and by the language of demagoguery, the insightful language of demagoguery, as well as the lies that led to the attack on the Capitol. And this kind of disinformation and hate and antagonism and agitation fuels right-wing extremism, white nationalism, white supremacy, and white supremacist violence across the United States, and is a main weakness in our democracy. And unless we address it directly, we will continue to see violence, and we will continue to see threats to our nation from within. It is worth noting that our adversaries abroad fuel these hate groups and provide impetus in the form of information warfare campaigns that we see online across the world, targeting the weakest among us with disinformation to try and radicalize them against a government of we the people, and to encourage violence, American on American violence in the United States, to tear us apart. And one of the main defenses and one of the main organizations that helps to defend our democracy is the Southern Poverty Law Center. They do this by tracking right-wing extremist organizations and hate groups and white supremacist groups such as neo-Nazis and the whole constellation of nasties out there. And I want to advocate for them in this OBX Wave Report Special Edition and show you some of the good work that they do. So what does the Southern Poverty Law Center do? What are their main missions? Well, their main mission is to fight hate, and hate is a major trigger for violence in the United States, and fighting hate and the disinformation that fuels it is a main focus of the Southern Poverty Law Center. Primarily what they do is they monitor hate groups and other extremists throughout the United States and expose their activities to the public, the media, and to law enforcement. As such, they are a main organization for holding hate groups accountable And it's for this reason that hate groups and those that support hate groups, mainly the disinformation chain in the extremist side of the right-wing media, cannot stand the Southern Poverty Law Center. And we love the Southern Poverty Law Center just as we love democracy and all of the good things that flow from democracy itself. One of the other missions of the Southern Poverty Law Center is to promote learning for justice. Justice meaning equal outcomes for all people in the United States under law. And in their work with educators, schools, students, and communities, they seek to educate and uphold the mission of the Southern Poverty Law Center to be a catalyst for racial justice in the South and beyond. And this is mainly aimed at dismantling white supremacy and strengthening intersectional movements to advance human rights for all people, which is a pro-democracy, pro-liberalization impetus. And this is something we certainly support here at the OBX Wave Report. They also seek justice for the most vulnerable in society who might not necessarily receive equal representation. And last of all, they help to support civil rights memorials throughout the United States to highlight the work of civil rights greats such as Martin Luther King Jr. and many others across this country. And so for today on January 6th, we are going to go ahead and highlight the good work of the Southern Poverty Law Center and hope that their efforts continue and redouble. And at the end of this advocacy session, this advocacy session for the OBX Wave Report, we are going to go ahead and send them a little help in the way of a small donation. And we ask for you to do the same and to do all the other things to help defend our sacred democracy and our Constitution and the ongoing process of growth and enlightenment and progress in the United States as we seek to promote betterment and justice for all people across this nation and the world. So thank you for joining me for this special edition of the OBX Wave Report. I will be back with you shortly.